Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuffs, and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we will be reading from the worst fantasy novella ever written, The Eye of Argon by Jim Theis. We'll be talking about some upcoming videos, things that I've been working on. We're going to give you an update on Ken Byron Venture's Verge Engine Overdrive. I just recorded the review for this blend. We will be talking a little bit about Netflix picks, where I recommend something that's on Netflix, streaming right now, I think, worldwide, maybe not, at least in the US. And then I will talk about some new cameras that have been coming out recently that have piqued my interest. And then, of course, we will get to your hashtag askstuffandthings questions at the very end of the episode. But first, as I mentioned, it is time for a reading from The Eye of Argon by Jim Theis. When last we left Grignor, our massive Ecordian barbarian, he had escaped from his horrible confinement, and it seemed as though his path was finally going to cross with the wench's path, who was being maybe sacrificed to some horrible god or something. Anyway, he found his way into the weird catacomb where she was going to be sacrificed. And we pick it up there. In the face of the... oh boy. In the face of the amorphous, broad-breeted female, stretched out alluringly before his gaping eyes, the universal whim of nature filing a plea of despair inside of his white-hot soul. Grignor acted in the only matter he could perceive. Giving vent to a hoarse-throated, rending battle cry, Grignor plunged into the midst of the startled shaman, torch simmering in his left hand and axe twirling in his right hand. A gaunt, skull-faced priest standing at the far side of the altar clutched desperately at his throat, coughing furiously in an attempt to catch his breath. Lurching helplessly to and fro, the acolyte pitched headlong against the gleaming base of a massive jade idol. Writhing agonizedly against the hideous image, foam flecked his chalk-white lips. The priest struggled helplessly, the victim of an epileptic seizure. Okay. Startled by the barbarian's stunning appearance, the chronic fit of their fellow, and the fear that Grignor might be the avant-garde of a conquering force dedicated to the cause of destroying their degenerated cult, the Saman momentarily lost their composure. Giving vent to heedless pandemonium, the priests fell easy prey to Grignor's sweeping arc of crimson death and maiming destruction. The acolyte performing the sacrifice took a vicious blow to the stomach, hands clutching vitals and severed spinal cord as he sprawled over the altar. The I'm assuming he means disorganized, but disorganized priest lurched and staggered with split skulls, dismembered limbs and spewing entrails before the enraged Ecordian's relentless onslaught. The howls of the maimed and dying reverberated against the walls of the tiny chamber, a chorus of hell fraught despair as the granite floor ran red with blood. The entire chamber was encompassed in the heat of raw savage butchery as Grignor luxuriated in the grips of a primitive, beastly bloodlust. Presently, all went silent, save for the ebbing groans of the sinking shaman and Grignor's heaving breath, accompanied by several gutsy curses. The well had run dry. No more lambs remained for the slaughter. The rampaging steed of death, having taken of Grignor for the moment, left the barbarian free to the exploration of his other perusials. Towering over his head was the misshaped image of the cult's hideous deity, Argon. Ooh. The fantastic size of the idol in consideration of its being of pure jade was enough to cause the senses of any man to stagger and reel. Yet, thus was not the case for the behemoth. He had paid only casual notice to this incredible fact, while riveting the whole of his attention upon the jewel protruding from the idol's sole socket, its masterfully cut faucets, emitting blinding rays of hypnotizing beauty. After all, a man cannot slink from a heavily guarded palace while burdened down by the intense bulk of a squatted statue. providing, of course, that the idol can even be hefted, which in fact was beyond the reaches of Grigner's coursing stamina. On the other hand, the jewel, gigantic as it was, would not present a hindrance of any mean concern. "Help me, please. I can make it well worth your while," pleaded a soft, anguish-strewn voice wafting over Grigner's shoulder as he plucked the dull red emerald from its roots. Turning, Grigner faced the female that had lured him to his blooded bath, but whom had become all but forgotten in the heat of battle. "You!" ejaculated the accordion. Ooh, get ahead of yourself there, accordion. In a pleased tone. "I thought that I had seen the last of you at the tavern, but verily I was mistaken." Oh, it's the same wench. Grigner advanced into the grips of the female's entrancing stare, severing the golden chains that held her captive upon the altar's highly polished face of ornamental limestone. If you're going to keep somebody captive, don't use gold. You can break gold pretty easily. As Grigner lifted the girl from the altar, her arms wound dexterously around his neck, soft and smooth against his harsh exterior. "Art thou pleased that we have chanced to meet once again?" Grigner merely voiced an sighed grunt, returning the damsel's embrace while he smothered her trim, delicate lips between the coursing protrusions of his reeking maw. All right then, gang. An interesting episode for the Eye of Argon. More from this next week. You know, I recently rediscovered something. And that is that M&Ms are delicious. I don't think I've had an M&M, like an actual just plain M&M, for ever. I can't think of the last time I had an M&M. I have the peanut ones occasionally. But yeah, I picked some of these up at the store recently. They're fantastic. I can't stop eating them. Delicious. All right, enough of the M&Ms for now. We have some upcoming videos to talk about. Oh my God, that's good. So, of course, on Stuff and Things Plays, we have the Bloodborne series continuing. I posted another one of those Fall Guys videos last week. It seemed like the interest was dropping off quite a bit, so we're just going to have our 3 Bloodborne videos coming up this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m., so don't worry about that at all. Good stuff. Some very interesting episodes coming up in Bloodborne. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to get into an update on Verge Engine Overdrive, so the video that's going to be posting this Wednesday will be the final review for Ken Byron Ventures' Verge Engine Overdrive. Last week, I was talking about how I was sort of having trouble putting my finger on what I really felt about this blend, and I was questioning, like, is there a casing? Is there a topping? It seems really sweet. It doesn't taste what I would assume a vapor would taste like. And let me just mention again, it seems like I have to keep reiterating this. A lot of people keep asking what a vapor is, and I answer that question, but then we get new people who haven't discovered this yet. A vapor blend is a blend made up of Virginia and Perique. So VA for Virginia and then PER for Perique. That's a vapor. So actually, Ken Byron responded to that video, that last Sunday Stuff and Things, and wrote a very informative and interesting little missive here. And I read this in the review for Ken Byron Ventures' Verge Engine Overdrive, but I'm going to read it here as well. Ken says, or at least the Ken Byron Ventures YouTube account says, VEO actually has 0 casing. It just uses very mature tobacco. The Perique is 10 plus years and doesn't have the black pepper of younger Perique. The reds are a mix of 2000 Carolina red and 2009 Brazilian red. It is very sweet red Virginia naturally. The stoved Virginia is made from Carolina bright Virginias and is naturally sweet despite not having a casing/topping. The last chapter of Virginias is a mix of bright with orange and red grades fine cut. Perique tends to trend fruitier, funkier, or more peppery depending on the age. The Europeans blend more hay and pepper type vapor profiles, but I like the fruit tang. of McClellan's Carolina-grown Virginias and 10-plus year-aged Perique. It is an unapologetic flavor bomb vapor, and probably by the end of the year I will no longer have the right Perique to make more. The recipe goes like this. Blend red stoved bright, mix together in equal parts. Then blend those Virginias 80-20 with Perique. Afterwards, it is raised to fermentation temperature to marry. The tibocos are only flavored with other tibichos. This is the most important part. If you want to grow your hair long enough to get it tapered, or no, you want to grow your hair long enough to get it tapered from the sides to the top, using a number 2 guard for the sides and 3 for the top. This would be the optimal length for what I've seen of you hatless and other older videos. Cheers. Thank you very much for that information, Ken. I definitely took that on board with my review. So basically, after 2 weeks and quite a bit of this blend, I have done the final review. It'll be posting this Wednesday, and it is quite interesting. And this blend is quite interesting. You should check out the review this Wednesday at noon Pacific time on Stuff and Things. Next, it is time sorry for all the mouth noises. It is time for a very, I guess, rare segment on Stuff and Things, but we do this occasionally, and that is called Netflix Picks. That is where I recommend something that is streaming currently on Netflix for you to watch. Recently, I just started watching The Last Dance. And this is something that I thought I would have no interest in whatsoever. It is basically a documentary about the, is it 97-98 or 96-97? I think 97-98 season for the Chicago Bulls. It was when the Bulls were going for their second three-peat, where they were trying to get 3 championships in a row yet again. They'd already done it once. And it was a time when the organization, the team, the Chicago Bulls, was looking at perhaps going into a full rebuild mode. Scottie Pippen was perhaps leaving. Phil Jackson was probably leaving. Michael Jordan was getting towards the end of his career. And I remember that season as a kid. I didn't really, well, not even as a kid, as a young man, I didn't really pay any attention to the NBA then. Don't really pay any attention to the NBA now. But especially in like the early 90s, when I was a kid, like Michael Jordan was just massive and huge, and you would have to be in a coma throughout the late 80s and into the 90s to not know who Michael Jordan was, and he was just the biggest deal in the world at the time. And so even though by the time, by 97, 98, I wasn't paying any attention to NBA, now I'm not even sure what caused me to click on this and start watching it, but I was completely sucked in and was completely fascinated. It goes through kind of the history of Michael Jordan's career a little bit. It gets into individual Bull players like Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, but it also just goes through all the drama and the egos and everything that was going on during this season. And even if you aren't interested in basketball at all, and I'm not really interested in basketball at all, it's still just immensely watchable and immensely immensely interesting and fascinating to see these personalities and egos and the conflicts and the arguments, and I don't know, it's very good. It's really well done. I highly recommend The Last Dance. I think it was originally on cable, and I don't have cable. I don't know what it was on originally, ESPN or something. I'm not sure. But now it is available on Netflix, at least in the US. I'm not sure about Europe. But if you do have access to this, or maybe use a VPN or something, you can watch it, The Last Dance on Netflix. Pretty good. I'm about halfway through, and it has continued to be quite good the entire way through. Well, to the halfway point. We'll see how it ends, but so far, I'm very impressed. Verge Engine Overdrive. Quite tasty. Now, something has occurred recently that I have been sort of paying attention to. I've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos on. Basically, a bunch of new mirrorless cameras have popped out onto the market. And this is specifically interesting to me because I have a very old, and in my opinion, kind of crappy camcorder that I use to record these videos. It looks all right. It's fine. I know many of you would probably say it looks fine. I'm not too happy with it. I've had it for a while now, and I'm definitely looking to upgrade. I can't really afford to upgrade right now, but I was really interested in the Canon EOS R, which was released maybe 2 years ago now. And now Canon has released the EOS R6 and the R5. Also, Sony just came out with the A7S III. There's also a Nikon, is it? Z6. There are a bunch of newer, sort of similarly priced prosumer grade mirrorless cameras out on the market for doing photo and video. The R6 looks quite interesting. The R5 is probably more camera than I would need. And I'm just curious to know, I mean, these cameras have just come out, but if any of you had a chance to use any of them, I'd like to hear some firsthand feedback. I'm pretty sure that I want the Canon because I really like the lenses that I've been able to see from them as well. The EF system, is it the EF or RF system? I can't remember. I have to do some research on that, but they seem to have a lot of really cool lens options. These things are all super expensive. So basically this is me trying to plan for the future for the channel. It's the kind of thing where we have quite a few people, really amazing, generous people supporting the channels via Patreon, and that is super appreciated. But what I'm gonna do is the more Patreon support we can get, I want you guys to know where that support is going. And so that's it. It's going towards a camera. I really want to upgrade the equipment that I'm using to make these videos, and the camera is the #1 thing that I want to upgrade. And so I think, I can't remember, the body of the EOS R6 is around like $2,500. So we've got a ways to go for sure, but I just want you to know that if you are supporting us via Patreon, first of all, thank you so much. But second, that's where your money's gonna be going. I'm gonna be trying to save up to get a brand new camera to use to make these videos. And if we can get up to a certain level per month on Patreon, then I think I might be able to swing getting one of these new cameras. So thank you all so much for your support. All right, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, and I will do my best to answer your question. Also, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can ask me questions there, and I will answer on the next Sunday Stuff and Things. First, via Patreon from MP Feldman. Thank you for your support, MP. British accent, please. Bradley, I rode a motorcycle for years and I'm considering getting back into it. I could see you on a bike, especially a Triumph or a cafe racer. Have you ever had a motorcycle? Ever consider it? Hashtag #StuffandThings. I have never owned a motorcycle. Have I ever ridden a motorcycle? I have not. I've ridden on a motorcycle. I've never driven a motorcycle. I did used to own a Vespa scooter, like an older style 2-stroke manual transmission Vespa. So I guess I had a motorcycle license when I had that. So I could have ridden a motorcycle, but no. I think motorcycles are cool. I'm less likely to want to die now than I used to be. Like, I don't know. There are so many instances where people try to kill me while I'm driving, and that's with me in a car. I can only imagine how much more likely that would be when I was on a motorcycle, and I guess I'm not really worried that I could be killed on a motorcycle, but the convenience of the car, I think, outweighs what I would get out of a motorcycle, and I would only have a motorcycle for, I guess, I couldn't imagine myself commuting in a motorcycle. It just wouldn't work for what I do. And so the motorcycle would only be for recreation, and I just can't imagine me being able to use it enough for that purpose. But motorcycles are cool. I like them. Next, from Twitter and Chance Man, at Chance_man. Recently, I've become aware of Peterson re-releasing Dark Flake in Europe. Any insight on this blend eventually making its way to the US? Hashtag askstuffandthings. I have heard that it is coming to Europe. I had heard that it was going to be coming to Europe for quite some time. There are some other blends in the former Dunhill line that seem as though they're going to be coming to Europe as well. I can only assume that they probably will be released in the US eventually too. The fact that all of the initial blends that were released in Europe, no, wait a minute, wasn't there one that wasn't? Oh no, now I'm gonna forget. I wanted to say that all of the blends that were initially released in Europe a little bit before the US eventually did come to the US, but now I'm thinking maybe there was one. I'm gonna have to go back and look through old press releases and stuff, but I think there might have been one blend that they didn't re-release in the US. If any of you remember that, let me know in the comments. So, I don't know. I'd love it if Dark Flake did come back because that was a good blend, but I'm not totally sure. Things are much more complicated in the US as far as releasing these blends with the FDA regulations and everything. I don't know exactly how it all works with things being grandfathered in or the fees you have to pay to get a new blend, even though, and Dark Flake is new because, yeah, that came out after 2007 anyway. So I don't know. I'm not sure how all the legalities would work. I hope it does come, but I'm not sure. Next, from Josh Smith at lambda_looser. Have you listened to the band DIIV, or is it D3 with Roman numerals? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Love 'em, says at @lambda_loser. I have not heard them. I did look up a quick video when I saw your question, and they seem cool. Looks like they're from Brooklyn, kind of indie-ish stuff, and maybe I'll check them out a little bit in the future. But that's kind of a random question, but I appreciate random questions as well. Next, from Beth Capel. I'm assuming it's Capel. It's not Capella, is it? Capelle? I think it's Capel. At Beth Capel. Not a question for you. Hashtag askstuffandthing is only for questions. But how much do I love Sunday Stuff and Things? Oh, okay, never mind. It's okay. You can say whatever you want as long as you say that you love Sunday Stuff and Things. I thought your announcement was going to be that the channel was ending and it made me so upset. I'm sorry, Beth. P.S. My boyfriend said, welcome to the Shaved Head Club. Hashtag askstuffandthings. Hashtag we love stuff and things. Well, we love you, Beth, and we love your boyfriend as well. Thank you so much. Next, from 1.21 gigawatts at Ninjatu889938807. First, my question for you is, would you do more videos being outdoors with your pipes? I remember some of your older videos when you were by the water just enjoying a pipe and chatting. You were actually using the pipe windscreen. Not too many people use those, I don't think. I bought one, though, on your recommendation. Second, I finally get the pipe hobby and what it's all about. What I mean is, I got the full experience. It's more than smoking a pipe. It's relaxation, contemplation, unwinding, and a whole lot more. I'd like to thank you for putting all the YouTube content out there and helping me find the true pipe hobby. You are the SHIT, bro. You can leave that part out if you feel it necessary. Take it easy, Brad, and thanks again. Call me hand? Well, thank you very much for that comment/question, 1.21 gigawatts. I appreciate that. Outdoor videos, maybe. It's always a little iffy trying to go someplace and film with a pipe because you might set up somewhere and then someone will come by and be annoyed that you're there with a pipe. It's also technically illegal in the local parks around here, so it's not something that's super enforced, but they could enforce it if they wanted to. But yeah, we'll probably try to get out there again. It'd be nice to get out to the water. There are several there are several parks near here where I think we could probably get away with it. So we'll see. But gang, I think that's it for hashtag askstuffandthings. Please keep those questions coming. They really, really help me put this show together every week. Really good topics for me to talk about every single week. But before we end, where is it? It is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where I thank our Patreon supporters. The people who support the channels at $25 or more a month get a special shout out every week. They're not buying this shout out. I just appreciate them so much that I want to give them this shout out for tax purposes. And the people who I would like to thank this week are Ryan McFadin, MDoftheNorth, Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Cody Striegler, Ryan Stauffer, Glenn, David Gaudreau, and Gus. And also the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 or more a month. People like Peter Straub, really hoping you're doing better, Peter, and Bob Magee. Thank you all so much for your support. If you would like to support the channels, there is a link in the description box below to our Patreon page. Thank you all so much anyway, though, for watching this, for sharing this, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting, doing all that good stuff. Please check out the review of Ken Byron Ventures' Verge Engine Overdrive, premiering this Wednesday at noon Pacific. Also, Bloodborne, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Stuff and Things Plays at 2 p.m. Pacific. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Ah.